Good afternoon. Welcome to all our viewers on the Truth Network. Today we have another episode in our series, A Story to Tell, and we have joining us Mrs. Simone Hudson-Bernard, and she'll be sharing her story with us. Simone, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Lestine. Thanks for having me.
Okay, it's my pleasure. Let's start with your early years back in Central Kingston?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How were those days? How much of you did your mother have and where you fall? And you just give us that little part.
All right, so I am the youngest child for my mother. My mother has 5 children, but daddy was a little bit more adventurous, so he has 10 of us.
Adventurous.
Yeah, let's call it adventurous. He has 10 of us. One died.
Okay.
I'm the youngest girl from my father, but unfortunately not the wash belly anymore.
Okay.
I grew up in Kingston Gardens, and that is a little community right behind the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
I think I had a pretty normal childhood. I had the basic needs taken care of. I had clothes. I had food to eat, unless of course my mother cooked cabbage.
Yes, I know you don't like cabbage.
I
You
hate
go to your
steamed
bed
cabbage.
hungry.
Yeah, man. She said, swallow your spit and go to your bed.
So no cabbage.
And so no cabbage. But I guess by society standards, I was poor. Of course, the community is in the inner city. I lived in a tenement yard, so there are a number of families there. And when they get up, when everybody is getting up to go to work or school, you have to say, turn down the pipe, please, so that you can get water in your section. But I thought I was okay, you know. My brothers, most of us lived together, even the children that did not belong to my mother, we lived in the same.
So how much are you live?
So about 8 of us, 8 children lived in the house, 7 or 8, can't remember now. And then you had my mother and my father.
Okay. Yeah. And you went to St. Paul's?
I went to St. Paul's Basic School, and then from St. Paul's, I went to micro practice in All-Age School.
Before you go to micro, tell us a little bit about St. Paul's, if you can remember so far back. You should, because you're pretty young.
Oh my God! St. Paul's is quite some years ago.
Any memorable experiences there at St. Paul's? And that's just behind Gleaner completely there.
That's just behind the Gleaner, off East Street. So I remember going to school as a normal, probably 2 or 3 year old. I was kind of athletic.
Kinda?
I was. Look, maths race, potato race. Look here, don't get me started.
Okay.
But I don't think there was anything. I didn't start to bloom at St. Paul's. I think my blooming came later, and that was when I got to micro practicing. I was involved in public speaking and debating. My class actually won the debating competition for the entire school, like in grade 5. And in grade 5, I took common entrance, and I went to Arden. I actually got the highest common entrance score for the school and got a scholarship, and I went to Arden.
Tell us a little about your parents. You said they, you know?
Yeah, so my father is a taximan, or was a taximan, because he doesn't work anymore. And he was the sole breadwinner. My mother could not work after a while because she has a mental illness. So because of that, she was a stay-at-home mom. And she was pretty normal. She was very good at it. She ensured that all our basic needs were taken off. The washing, the cooking, the cleaning, everything, all that stress was left to her.
So kind of break it down. You say a mental illness. When people hear that, they more think like persons are mad or something, but because of the stigma over the years. But what exactly was she diagnosed with, and like what triggered it off and stuff?
So the formal diagnosis, it's schizophrenia. And I realized that it's triggered by a change in circumstances, or whenever she is overwhelmed or stressed, or whenever she stops taking her tablets. So, you know, sometimes she would come to church and somebody might give an altar call and say, those who need healing come.
And she would believe by
And
faith.
she would believe God for her healing, but then, you know,
the Lord
she tried to test it and
way,
stop.
yes.
Yeah, and I said, Mommy, not yet. It's just not yet. Right? So continue taking your tablet. Right. So whenever she has an episode, you would see different personalities. So sometimes she would probably cry and be as meek as a child. Another time she's very aggressive, so you can't really control her. And another time she's just hysteric. But once she's on her medication, she's on normal.
She has to take it like every day?
Every day, yeah. She has to take it every day.
So growing up, when did you come to the understanding that your mother was ill in that way?
I think I probably realized that something was wrong when I was at basic school. She kind of came for me at school singing some songs that didn't make any sense. And she wasn't dressed appropriately.
So you feel anyway at that time, or you don't understand?
At that time, you know, you felt away because persons were looking, and I guess they were wondering what is happening to this lady. But I just had to hold her hand and go
walk
home. Yeah.
That must have been an experience that, you know, will be forever in your mind.
Yeah, I remember that one clearly.
Yes.
I remember it clearly.
So how else is it manifested? Like, would she like have nights when she doesn't sleep?
Yes,
and stuff?
Definitely. So whenever the illness is coming on, she doesn't sleep for days. She doesn't eat for days. And of course that is very stressful. Before the actions start, you know, she would lose a lot of weight. She wouldn't do certain basic things, right, that she would normally do. And so whenever she is ill, you know, it takes a toll on the rest of the family members.
Yeah, because if she's
not
up,
sleeping, then nobody can sleep, because one, you don't know what she will do, and then secondly, she's not quiet when she's up.
So that was St. Paul's. Any similar experiences with her illness at Michael?
No, not at Michael. And I think that over the years, she, as well as us, you know, learned better to deal with it. Because for a long time she was ill and it was undiagnosed. We didn't know what happened to her. You know, a lot of persons pass remarks. A lot of persons say, you know, she can't control it, so why is she behaving like that? And then persons would use derogatory terms to describe the situation. So it was really, it's really difficult for the family, but I think that over time we're learning to deal with it.
So basically breaking it down and for layman terms, mental illness is just another form of illness. It's just another
form of illness. So you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure. Everybody have different things that they're trying to cope with.
Just another illness that you need
medication. If you take your medication, you'll be quite fine.
Yeah. So it's not like a demon or...
Persons have called it that, right? Persons have rebuked demons out of my house several times. But it's not a demon.
So, based on my limited understanding, stuff like those, along with other illness, sometimes you have it running in the family.
Yeah.
Is there any linkages of her parents before or her children after?
So I cannot trace it to her foreparents, but my brother was also formally diagnosed. My brother lives in England. I have 2 brothers by my mother's side. So he was formally diagnosed with the same illness.
And what about you?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
That was a joke. I'm sure sometimes some people say, Simone, you sure you're alright?
Yeah, I get that a lot of time. I'm not sure, but I think so.
To be serious though, you said like change of external circumstances, stress and stuff can trigger it. It goes to show that you probably need to, you know,
manage your stress
levels, P's and Q's, and manage it as you go along. And
definitely.
that you have been doing, because
Yes.
I haven't seen any signs that you're not managing well. So
Okay,
that has
good
been
to
good.
hear.
Right? So you got a scholarship
Yeah.
from Michael, but is it that growing up through your Michael years, you were a settled child, or you had to somebody had to supervise you to do your homework, or how you
No.
manage that
So
aspect?
so my parents, they provide the structure that they provided was, you know, you're provided for.
Food, clothing, and
Food,
shelter.
clothing, and shelter. You need to go to school and absorb as much as you can. So they are not going to ask you if you had homework, right? You had to take up the responsibility of doing your homework yourself, right? They would come to parent-teachers meeting every now and again, but they wouldn't have any one-on-one discussion with the teacher about you. They don't really know how you're doing in school unless the principal calls you, right? And then again, they stopped going to school at a very early age, so they probably wouldn't
doing the
even
best they
know.
could,
They did
So
the best they
basically,
could.
from a young age, you've been managing your own time.
You manage yourself and you manage your time. You do your homework because you don't want to be embarrassed at school. Not
Yeah.
because you're afraid your parents will find out that you don't do your homework and beat you.
But that's very good though, because some of these children nowadays, even when you're behind them
Yeah.
every day, they are still not focused on your work, and you could focus knowing
Yeah.
that your mother was ill, and you have to basically help to keep yourself focused going through, and you were successful because you got a scholarship.
Yeah, I knew that. So I didn't feel poor, but I knew that I was kind of behind the curve. So I knew I had to get out of the situation only through education.
You were conscious of
So I was
what's
conscious
going on.
of that. I saw the things happening around me where, you know, young girls would get pregnant, boys would
Get involved in gangs.
involved in things that they're not supposed to. And you didn't want to be a part of that. So you kind of focus on where you need to go and how you need to get there. And I thought education was my only, you know, only way out, because I wasn't so good at the athletics.
Okay. So you're now moving from Michael now, and you got a scholarship to Arden. Tell us about your first year at Arden, and how was that experience?
So my first year at Arden, that is when reality hit me that I was poor, right?
How so?
You saw the cars coming in, you know, the kids got dropped off. Meanwhile, your father, you want him to drop you at the end of the road because you don't want him to drive into the school with him old car,
yes, old car.
right? Right, so you ask him to drop you at the end of the road, and you come out and you go to school and you hear the different accents, right? So when you mix up now with the prep school kids, you know that there's a us and them
It's a
separation.
completely different environment from the Michael that you're used to.
Because everybody talk Patwa Michael, right? At Arden, you have the speaky section, and you had the persons who were trying to speaky spooky like
more
me.
like a midtown, uptown type of mix,
Right. And the different discussions were surrounding what you did for the holidays and where you would go. So I remember once a group of girls were having a discussion, and the devil tell one of them to turn around and ask me if I've ever traveled before.
Really?
Yeah.
So
and
I
I
tell
said,
them you've been to the country quite a few times.
I said, traveled? No. And she said, what? You've never traveled before?
Oh, God.
Why? To be poor is really a crime.
That must have hurt.
Yeah, me tell her I was still in her. Because you're not going to diss me and get away.
Yeah.
Right? But it kind of hit me that,
certain things that they had at their disposal.
I didn't have a computer at home. So when we had group projects and everyone was saying, you know, I'll just look it up on the computer.
You have to take the
Find
library.
the way, go at Tomred from library, go looking at the old encyclopedia them. Right. Yeah.
So that was Arden initial stages. Third form, you like computing.
Yes. So when I was young, I wanted to be a teacher.
Yes.
And my older brother, I remember when he was migrating to Canada, he spent a little bit of time with us. So I was having a discussion with him about my career path, And he said, why you want to be a teacher? Teacher don't make no money.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, you're a computer programmer. Programmer makes money.
Yeah.
And him say,
Yes.
yeah. All right, I'll be a programmer then.
Follow the money.
Yeah, man, follow the money. So I said, okay, I'm going to be a programmer. I didn't have a computer at home, but I took up IT. And I was doing very well in IT. All the initial tests, I got 100. So much so that persons were wondering if I saw the test before. Right? How this patois speaking poor girl who don't have no computer.
Who haven't traveled.
Haven't traveled, right? Getting 100% on these tests. So I said, okay, if I'm going to make this a career path, I need to put things in place to ensure that I'm successful or I'm good at it.
Yes, so you're in third form and you joining up in this partner. Tell us about the partner, John.
So the partner ran for a very long time, and it was for about $30,000 or $40,000, a full hand. Of course, I went in full hand. And I had to save up my money to throw the hand. And my brother in England, who lives in England now, he didn't live in England at the time. Somehow he heard of the draw. And he came to me and said, you know, you can give me the money to build a computer for you, because I have friends who build computers. So he brought the friend to me, and both of them said, yeah, man, we can do it. And I gave him the money. And a few weeks or months later,
you got the computer.
He came to me. Well, he called on the phone like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock one morning to say he was going to England. And I said, what? For my money, not even send me gonna miss you. Like, what's gonna happen to my computer? Right? And he said, no worry, man. When we reach over, me send it back to you. And I say, oh boy.
It's not the 30,000 views for going.
I don't know. I don't know. But I went to school that day and I was very stressed.
Yeah, because you're looking forward to getting the computer.
Yeah, man. And I remember when I was in the IT class, I just started to cry because I can't believe that, you know, so many years. Or so many months worth of throwing just gone like that. And the teacher saw me crying, and she came over to me and asked me if everything was okay. And you know, I said no. I gave somebody some money to build a computer for me, and they took the money.
Yeah.
So she said, that is a wicked person.
If only she knew.
She didn't know. That is a wicked person. Right? So I didn't get the computer. Right throughout school, I didn't have a computer. I used to have to go to this man up the street named, we call him Sir Paul, because he was well respected in the community. So I borrowed his computer sometimes, and he would help me. Yeah.
So what areas you focused on at Arden in terms of your subject?
So I did business. The business subjects, accounts, POB, of course, maths and English and literature. And I did religious studies. Yeah, man, I do the IT. I passed it. It was my worst grade, a 3.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you get the laptop,
if I got the laptop, I would have gotten a 1, believe me. Right, because all my other subjects were 1s and 2s, and I did 8 other subjects. I did 9 subjects altogether, and I passed them all.
So you moved on from Arden and went straight to UA? So
I moved on from Arden, but of course, at 5th form now, when I finished CXC, you know, your parents kind of said to you, it's work time, because that was a natural part for all the family members. High school up to 5th form, and then you work. But I kind of tricked them. I say,
You tricked them?
Yeah, I say, Mommy, I know you when I used to the Excelsior, because all my 3 other siblings from my mother
went to Excelsior.
Went to Excelsior. My big brother was a head boy for Excelsior, so Excelsior tradition was rich. I said Excelsior stop at 5th form, but Arden, you know, Arden students have to go to 6th form.
Yes.
And then I was trying to tell them that, you know, I really can't support them on CXC salaries, so it makes sense for me to go to
But
sixth
Simone,
form.
how come you realize all of that from that age?
Because I've seen it,
Why
Lestine,
you could have just follow the trend and just go get a job?
I guess because me love enough money.
My word, that is remarkable though for you to come to that understanding, that realization from then.
Yeah, and so you
So
know,
you tricked them to go to sixth
I
form?
tricked them to go to sixth form. So when I went to sixth form, I shone in sixth form, and I did debating. My teachers loved me because I was doing so well in the subjects. I was a senior prefect, and then I did very well at GCE. I did GCE. I can't tell how old I be.
Yeah, not that old, yeah, GC.
Yeah. A levels. Did
No
well
Cape.
at my A.
Cape never come.
I actually did one Cape. I did com studies in Cape,
Cape,
and
okay.
I think I was the first year or second year that did Cape.
Yeah.
So it was time now for me to go to UWI. I wanted to, you know, pursue something in business, or I wanted to actually be a lawyer, because by then I realized that the computer thing, the programming thing, dead.
Dead. No programming not gonna
No
work out
programming
again.
now, so I have to change the program.
Yes, my
Right?
God. Rewrite the program.
Rewrite the program. So I said I wanted to be a lawyer, like Sheena, because you know we spent a lot of time at Sheena's house. But I didn't get into law. I didn't get the grades to get into law, because law is very competitive, or was very competitive then. So they put me in, I applied for management studies, and somehow I ended up in econ, and I went to them and I said, but you know, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And they said, well, everybody did the same courses in the first year, so after second year you can just switch. And then I did very well in the first year, so I didn't bother to switch.
So you get money to go university now? Another trick? Or another part?
So this trick never worked. This trick never worked. When I went to my father with the application form, he said, what is this? And I said, I'm applying to go to university.
That's like unheard of.
Yeah, and says, so you're not going to work? I said, I'm going to university first, and then I'm going to work. So he said, how are you going to fund this, because I don't have the money to send you? And I said, I'll take student loan. And so yes, like many Jamaican students, I got bungalow up a student loan bureau for apply for the student loan, and I got the student loan for the first year.
So that carried through the first
year. So that
year.
carried me through the first year. At the end of the first year, I actually got a scholarship, and that carried me through the rest. The rest of university.
Oh, you managed like your tuition, your books and transportation. So,
in first year, I decided to go and live on hall. This is when I got the student loan. I thought it was easy to afford it because I was also approved for a grant. Somewhere along the line, the grant was retracted. So I was living on the hall, owing hall fees, right?
That affected you taking exam.
Yes. So I couldn't get my exam card to take my exam. So every time I have to ask for an exemption, and I went to Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson is a very rough man, you know. Right? Nobody really liked him. But I say, it's my only hope, right? I'm not going to be any worse off.
Yeah, so better you try.
Right. So I went in and I spoke to him, and he said, what? You can't pay your school fees? Your parents can't pay your school fees? I said, no, my father is a taxi man. My mother doesn't work because she's ill. And him said, what? No, man, the government must pay your fees. The government should pay your fees. And him called student bureau same time. And by the next week, the grant was in my account. Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson?
He died. Oh, God bless him.
Yes, but that was a notable thing
the rough man was my advocate that day.
Yeah. So regardless of how somebody might seem unapproachable, you still should push and approach them. Especially if your life depends on it.
I didn't have a choice, right? If I perish, I perish. But I had to go.
So you got back the grant.
So I got back the grant, and that cleared my hall fees for that year. you know, living on hall, you didn't have to commute. But it was still rough because you didn't have food.
Yeah.
So what you had to do is to make friends with people who had food.
Yes.
Right? So my friends from Trelawney, their parents sent up boxes of food, you know.
Yes.
So every day we just run a boat. Of
Yes.
course, my contribution is being the chef.
Okay.
So they contribute.
That's what you brought to the table.
Yes, I brought my skills to the table.
Good. You have to bring something to the table.
That's
you
right.
Just come with your tool.
That's right.
Yes.
And
that's
that
where you
is
got
how I
through.
survived. And then, you know, gradually my parents came around when they could. They helped me out a lot. And then my brother who you know, borrowed the computer money.
Who took a loan.
Who took a loan from me
Yes.
and went to England. He
chipped
stepped
in.
up big time.
That's very notable.
Big time.
Big him up now. Big him up.
Big up my brother. I love you. Well, he knows this.
Alright.
Right? He really supported me in second and third year. And in second year, I actually started to work full time at Portmore Informatics Park. I was a collection agent.
At a call center.
At a call center. Yeah, but it was affecting my grade to the point where I thought that I was going to lose my scholarship.
You had to cut that out.
So I had to cut it. Yeah.
Wow. So that was university. So how did it turn out at the end? Graduated successfully?
So I graduated successfully. I didn't get the first class honors that I wanted because of the poor second year results.
So that dropped the GPA?
Yeah, so that affected my GPA. But I graduated and I did a degree in economics and a minor in
stuck out
statistics.
the econ?
Yeah, man.
You didn't bother change?
No. Remember them say, yeah, do good in it. Well, I said I was doing good in it, so
Yes.
why change? And I didn't even bother to apply for law after the first year because I was liking econ after a while so much that
Maybe you were destined to do econ.
I probably was.
Yeah. So after that that summer that you graduated, you went and look at work now. Because that was the plan, right?
Yes.
University, then you looked at job.
Yes. So I looked at job. I actually applied to Scotiabank and I applied to NCB. Scotiabank was the first to call me. And so I started as a part-time teller at Scotiabank. And then after a month, NCB called me. And I got a job as a research analyst.
What exactly is a research analyst?
So a research analyst is responsible for giving opinions on investments. So people, rich people, or I shouldn't say rich
Person
people.
with some disposable income to invest.
Right.
Yes.
They buy stocks. These are shares of company, small ownership percentages of company. And they buy bonds, which are loans that the company, you know, take from normal people. Right? And they give you an interest and they pay back the principal at the end of a particular period. So, but these persons, before they invest, they want to hear the opinion of the investor. Right. So I was one of the experts who gave my opinion.
So you started as a research analyst.
Yes.
And how was that experience coming into that environment?
I think the Lord strategically placed me at NCB. I had some rough days, but I can genuinely tell you that I had people who were genuine people. You know, I wasn't afraid to talk to them. We had such a bond as co-workers. It was amazing. Even when we cuss, you know. So when we had sports day, everyone was at each other. And then Monday morning, everybody, you're good? Yeah. People think we did mad. People thought we were crazy, but it was a very good team.
Super competitive people.
Super competitive. Super competitive. And I was probably the head of the list. I was house captain all the time.
We're going to go in detail into that further.
Yeah.
So you started as a research analyst and you moved up.
So I moved up probably every 2 or 3 years. So I moved from research analyst to portfolio analyst, and then I went on as a senior research analyst. And then I was promoted in 2015 to the manager of the research and structured products, because by then they added a whole lot of other responsibilities to the role. And so I was manager of research.
That was about 7 years?
Structures.
After 7 years of starting?
Yes.
7 years. So in 7 years you rose to the rank of manager of that little research and
structured products unit.
How was it going into management?
It was,
because I guess you were still young, pretty young.
I was pretty young, and you know, you had the challenge of managing persons who were older than you, or the same. Everybody was pretty much the same age except for those who were older. You had to transition from the doing to the coaching. So you had to learn to guide people and coach people on how to do particular things. You had to learn to deal with different personalities and learn to know or ascertain what is best or the best method to deal with particular personalities. So the transition, I don't think it was very smooth, but I had guidance from my superiors, which was good.
Growing up as well, you were also involved in church activities as well, Bible quiz and stuff.
Oh my, how could I forget that?
Overview of that part.
So Melissa actually invited me to Bible quiz. I don't know why she
Melissa?
Melissa Richards, who was formerly Melissa Royal, my buddy. She invited me to come to try out for junior quiz.
That was about what age? About 10?
That was about at age 10.
10, yes.
Yeah.
So you were still at Michael?
I was still at Michael. And I said, okay, sure. So I tried it, and boy, I did not know that studying the word could be so exciting. Right? It was fun. We did things as a unit. That was fun. We went on trips, you know, sleepovers, all night studies.
All night studies. No, man, you studied.
You studied. But it was a really good experience, and I think that quiz actually enhanced my studying skills because you know, you learn the disciplines of memorizing and you know, just setting goals and breaking up those goals into smaller bits so that you can achieve it.
Yes, and you probably was champion quizzer or something.
Yes, I was champion quizzer at the junior level. And I think when I moved on to youth, I was champion quizzer for several years. Let me just put that out there.
Put that out there.
Put that out there. When I moved on to youth quiz, I was champion quizzer probably in the runner-up for under 19.
For your first year?
For my first year, yeah. So I've had some successes there.
So church was a pretty big
part of my life. Very big part of my life. You go down church when you have choir practice. You go down to church when you have Bible quiz. You go down to church when you want to lime with people. You go down to church when you don't have anything to do, right? So you spent a lot of time at church, which helped to keep me out of trouble.
Yes.
Right? Because it kind of shifted your focus from what was happening around you so that the concentration could have been on something that would edify you.
So you're involved in Bible quiz for all these years, and basically being involved in church and church activities was a big chunk of your life.
A big chunk of my life.
Help you to stay focused,
That's
grounded.
right. That's right. You needed something to push you in the right direction or to reinforce certain values, you know. So, and I think the church was effective in doing that for me.
You must have had some good friends that you were surrounded by.
Yes.
Who were some of those?
Very
and
good friends. Melissa and Dave. Melissa and I used to always be in competition for the Sunday school examinations at the end of the year. I was coming first all of the time.
Oh my God. And she's just trying to play
She was a close second most of the time.
She's gonna get
she beat me sometimes. Yeah, right. Dave, Tamika, Katie, and you know, most of them were from quiz.
Yes.
And Lestine Rose.
Oh, that's me.
That's you?
Oh my God.
Yeah. and Sheena,
Yes.
all the quizzes, Auntie Ava, everybody.
Yes.
So.
This question though, looking at your life, or it has progressed over the years, it seems as if it is very important to have a relationship with God, how things have worked out for you, because some of these things could not be backups, how you were guided even from a young age to manage your time and go through, and
Yeah.
how you think important it is for a relationship with God.
You know, I don't even know how people manage without a relationship with God. My relationship with the Lord was my source of comfort. It provided the structure that I needed in my life. Right? That was not coming from the sources that it was supposed to come from. A lot of times you go through things and you can't even put it in words to explain yourself, because sometimes I have a problem expressing myself. But I had a relationship with my supreme being, who could guide me in the direction that I needed to go. You know, I think of God as the person who I can take off my makeup or take off my wig with, and just sit down and have an honest conversation about what is happening with me. When I got the job at NCB, a lot of persons told me that I need not apply,
because you have to have links and those things.
You have to have links, right? And I say, well, I know only one link.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a link.
Yeah.
Come cut out the newspaper ad, and I put it in my bosom, and I carry it to the altar every week with me.
Serious?
And I pray over my bosom. Yes, man. So when you see me do this, something might be in there. I pray over it, and I got the call, and I got the interview, and I did so well in the role. Right? So I think the hand of the Lord has been on my life for a very long time. A number of the things that I didn't do, I did not do because I didn't want to disappoint God. Of course, I've done a lot of things that disappointed Him. But it was one of the reasons why I'm grounded.
When you were working the early years at NCB, your father got ill. Tell us about that.
So one night I got a call that my father dropped down. It was pretty strange. I thought it was another attack from diabetes, because he has diabetes as well. But this was strange because he was unconscious for a while. So I rushed down there as soon as I could. And by this time he recovered, and he was trying to explain what happened. He knelt down and he was praying, and he just blacked out. But he was having a seizure. And so later on we found out that he had a brain tumor. Right, so I said, boy, God, I'm not ready to lose my father yet. I was so scared. That illness kind of brought me even closer to God. Right? I was so scared of losing my father that I kind of made a deal with God. I said, Lord, I promise if you just bring him through this, I'll do this for you. Of course, you can't bribe God, but So he had to do a surgery to remove it, but you know, the ongoing medical expenses were there, and it took a toll. It took a toll on me, wicked. I was working as a senior analyst, and
you were living on your own.
I was living on my own at the time, and I couldn't make ends meet with all these expenses. I had credit card bills up to the roof, can't afford even the minimum payments, and I was afraid that I was going to lose my job. So I moved back in with my parents to kind of ease the burden. I would go to the pharmacist sometime and hope that the credit card payment was authorized. And you know, I was there so often that the pharmacist knew me. So one day I went there, and the pharmacist said, I have something for you. And when I looked, he gave me like 3 times the amount of the medication that my father was supposed to get. And when I got back to the car, I just started to cry.
Yes.
And I called my friend. I said, Richard, the pharmacist give me the medication free.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Because
he
you
gave
saw
me the
there was a need.
medication. Yeah, free. And I started getting the medication free. And it was time for Daddy to do the surgery now. Of course, everyone was saying that they would have chipped in, and when it was time for him to do the surgery, a lot of persons fell out. So I went to the doctor and I said, I'm going to take a loan to do it because this is the situation. So give me an invoice so that I can bring it to my company. And he said, how much you have? I said, 400,000. So he said, of course, this was a far cry from the $2 million that the surgery. $2 million that the surgery cost. And he said, no man, don't take any loan. Just give me what you have.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Give you the 400,000?
Give me what you have, and let's see, we didn't even give him 400,000 because some of the money got used up, right? I think we ended up giving like 300,000. And every week I would call him just to check in and say, I'm going to pay you, you know, doctor, I'm going to pay you. Just give me some time. Until him says, Sim, well, he and I developed a relationship. And he said, Simone, you don't have to pay me. It's all right.
Just like that? Is that buck-ups?
Ask God.
Some of these things people probably will doubt and say, no.
I can't tell you if it's buck up, but I know that the hand of the Lord was definitely in my life. So you see, when from 2 million to 300,000.
Yes.
When I saw these things, Lestina said, I cannot but trust God or serve Him, right? Because it was my only way out.
Yes. Wow, that is indeed a miracle, I would say. Definitely a miracle. In your professional career, you went on to do the CFA exam. Tell us about the CFA exam and how challenging that was. And what exactly is the CFA?
So CFA means Chartered Financial Analyst, and it focuses on developing investment professionals. So it ensures that you have the right technical skills that would help you to better serve people who needed financial services or advice. Right, so it's a very challenging exam.
It's a
globally recognized exam. So anywhere I am in the world, they would see the 3 letters behind my name, and it means something. It means something. Right? But the exams are very hard, right? The exams are so hard that not a lot of persons pass it. And so I did level 1, was okay. Level 2, didn't pass, but I barely failed because they'll give you a range in which
you barely missed out.
Yeah man, I was like at a 9. So if I probably got one more question,
but it sounds really difficult.
It is very difficult. Alright, so I did level 2 twice. I did level 3. When I did level 3, I said to myself, you know, if I don't pass, I barely fail. When I got back the results,
you failed miserably.
Failed miserably.
So you were there thinking
CFA said, look here, girl, you're not even close.
Oh God.
And I said, boy, I don't even know if I should do for this exam, because if I thought that I barely failed and I'm so far down, what am I gonna do? But I said, okay, let's give it one more shot, and I did it, and I passed. In 2014.
So how are these exams done? Is there exam center?
So it is run by the CFA Institute, which is based in the US, but they have exam centers in various countries. So you do the exam, they're only administered once per year. Well, for the higher levels 2 and 3, once per year. Level 1, you can do it overseas in December. So you get a shot at it, and it's like a 3-hour exam. No, well, 3 hours for one section. You actually have 2 sections that you have to do. So yeah, it is.
Oh.
It is very tiring. I must say though that it has been rewarding. I was on the steering committee that helped to form what is now the CFA Society of Jamaica.
And that was last year.
They actually got approved early this year.
Okay.
Right, and as I said, the CFA is focused on developing investment professionals. So now Jamaica has a seat at the table, and it has a center, right, that can promote or enhance the mandate of the CFA Institute, and that will help to develop individuals who are interested in a career in finance.
Yes.
Right, so that only bodes well for the industry and the country on a whole.
That's very good. Congratulations on
you.
your input into that venture. I know initially you had said way back at St. Paul's that you were athletic, but you didn't really take it serious until in your latter years. I know you are involved in fitness and everything.
Yes.
How you got involved in fitness and
So my parents have a lot of lifestyle diseases that can be hereditary. So I said, one, I didn't want those diseases, and secondly, I wanted to feel a little bit more confident about my appearance. I didn't like how I looked, but I realized that I could change that, you know. And so when I started Scotia, I started to take pride in what I eat. I started to exercise, and when I started to do those things, I realized that I was seeing results, and so I liked what I was seeing. And so it continued, but you know, fitness is very addictive. So as I got fitter, I wanted more, and so all of a sudden, when I moved over to NCB, they had a very, very nice wellness center. Right, I lived at that wellness center, but after a while, it couldn't really hold me anymore. So I went to Spartan. Continued my fitness journey there. I got a trainer, and we worked well together. I entered the Guardsman Challenge. That was last year, right?
Yes,
yeah.
2017.
2017, yeah. Time flies. Entered the Guardsman Challenge, and I entered various fitness competitions because I just wanted to be a better version of myself.
You also went into tennis a little.
I went into tennis, right? I started tennis some years ago as an amateur, still an amateur. My coach thought that I had potential, and so he signed me up for a few tournaments. I'm so bad lucky, right? Most of the times I end up with the number one seed. Like, why me I forget the number one seed every day, every time? Instantly. Knockout. Right? But I won one game once. Yeah. So I have potential there. I'm a little bit old now, but
you're not old.
Older. Right? I hear some cricks in my knees when I run.
So as we wrap up, Sim, could you just tell our viewers your closing words of encouragement, seeing that you went through so much and you didn't allow your environment or your circumstances to define your future? Give us a closing word of encouragement. So
my encouragement to viewers is that nothing happens to you by chance, right? God is in control of your life. And if he sees fit, he will let good things happen to you. He will let bad things happen to you. All right? Don't be discouraged. Stay focused, and in due time, you will be rewarded. Thank you so much, Sim, for chatting with us. Let me chat too much. No, man, you were good. Thank you all for watching another episode, A Story to Tell on the Truth Network. We are so delighted that you joined us for another week. Join us next time when we also have another interesting person who will be sharing with us. Remember to like us on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be notified of further videos that we will produce. Have a great week.